Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm Amabel.
and welcome back to Amabel Goes to Forex School Total War Warhammer Edition. Amabel, that was such a nice functional intro. Check out all
Oh, I
these
wasn't
skulls.
done. I wasn't done.
You weren't done,
That was a
but
dramatic pause.
oh, I'm sorry. Are we
That's
still in
okay.
the dramatic
Those are pretty good
pause?
skulls.
They are
Well,
pretty
it's
good.
ruined now. It's ruined now. So
Okay, I feel alright about that. Also, there's a dwarf here, but who cares about that when there are skulls? Okay, so we finished 2 turns worth of mustering. We've mustered up quite a force here, and Dodd has come forth with presumably some troops. So information gathering on enemy armies, has to do with having proper vision of them. The more in your territory they get, the more visible they are to you, but also, having a vision of them with an army or an agent of some kind will give you more information. We know for sure the size of the army, the number of units, always, I believe. I don't think there's any
okay.
situation in which you don't get a unit count, but you can see we only know what 2 of those units are, and we don't know the state of them. And 3 of the units, they could be anything. Fortunately, it doesn't really matter to us very much in this situation. Obviously, we have something of an advantage. They are choosing to flee rather than engage with us. Who would have thought? And unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of movement left. That was kind of it for us. The good news is we can go into raid camp mode here, and we are on their side of the property line, you can see. So we're disrupting their income, not our own. And you can see putting us in raiding camp mode re-enables replenishment. We're able to scavenge resources from the surrounding environment. It's not as good as being in our own settlements or something, but it's some healing. In particular, Azag is healing quite quickly, which is good. And at this point, we don't have a huge amount of money. Our income has been blunted pretty significantly by all the troops we hired. You can see here we're only pulling in 1,000 per turn, and we don't have a lot of building slots available to us. So for right now, a lot of our infrastructure stuff is going to be very, very simplified. I do want to grab Go Fasta, because like I said, I value campaign movement extremely highly. And we'll figure out other stuff later. So Amabel, did you have any questions or thoughts that you want to offer on the game or the setting or any of these systems here while we're getting to work?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I'm really just waiting for the next fight.
All right,
Yeah.
so a fair number of turns are going to be pretty short and simple like that. Turns where you only have 1 or 2 important things to do, and they result in like an enemy retreat or whatever. We have hit a point of population surplus from growth in our region, but I believe we need 2 points of population surplus for our first major upgrade. Dodd's army is just going to go garrison up inside the Karak. Karak means like dwarf fortress. Not the video game, but like a fortress built by dwarves.
Yeah. I like that the turns will be kind of short and punchy.
Some of them.
Yeah.
You see we're down to 266 factions, but some of them are starting to have turns that can be measured in whole numbers of seconds now. We are not allowed to engage battles, initiate battles from raiding stance, so back into normal stance, and here we go. This is rated as a Pyrrhic victory, but if we mouse over the auto-resolver, you can see we're not actually projected to lose any units, so I think I am just going to take the auto-resolve.
Okay.
Let's try to get us into the meat of the campaign here. The auto-resolve does sometimes, because the auto-resolve here, like the auto-resolve in many games, is not simulating the outcome, it's just doing math based on some internal formulas. It sometimes comes up with results that are a little fishy. Like, for example, here it suggests that each of our units of Snotling pump wagons would get in the neighborhood of 60 kills, but the catapults would only get 29 in a settlement battle. That feels unlikely to me. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
If you want to have fine-tuned control over things, you got to do it yourself. All right, we're going to occupy this. We have completed our province here, and so gotten 1,000 extra gold and an enchanted shield from this this mission here. We have slain Dodd. Dodd is good and gone forever. Enemy characters can be permanently killed in battle. And I believe... Okay, we'll issue a commandment in a second here. I believe that's going to eliminate his faction. Right?
Okay.
A faction that has no settlements
Obey me.
is wiped out pretty quickly. So notice they have no settlements, but it says they have a strength, like our strength relative to them is still, they're still red in that bar. I wonder if they have another army somewhere. So with no settlements owned, their armies will take major attrition damage every turn until they manage to recapture a place to get supplies from. So that's a problem that they're going to be dealing with here. I think I'm going to continue pushing blue line at least until we get into this next box. And actually, we gained 2 XP from what apparently was a very murderous battle. Or we gained 2 levels worth of XP. So we need to sit here for a turn. Obviously, conquering a settlement uses up the rest of your movement for the turn. So we're sitting here. We may as well take a turn of recruitment, and you can see we have access to some different units because that recruitment structure that we upgraded has properly finished. So let's get let's bring in some tougher units.
Okay.
I like the orc biggins. I like just smash. You can see we have access to some basic archery as well. I don't know. How do you feel about archery? The thing I'll say about the orc era boys is they're better melee combatants than most archers are, because orcs are big and strong. They have terrible accuracy, and they really don't do a lot of damage when shooting. But if you're shooting into like really massed up troops or very, shooting like large things, they can still get some damage accomplished. Or should we just like lean into our strengths and smashy?
I guess lean into your strengths. Like
that's my inclination as well.
I do like some archers in medievalish combat, but I also don't, fully know how they're modeled.
Yeah.
So I can't really say like, oh yeah, grab some. Because there are some games in the historical space where you want to grab some archers. If you're playing a game about the Battle of Agincourt, you want some archers, right? So it's...
So we have to make some decisions here too. So we're accumulating population surplus. Each settlement has one of these main settlement buildings that is limiting the level of all of the other buildings in that settlement. And ordinarily, I think it's pretty important to get your settlement, your capital, province capital, leveled up, because it's the one that can go all the way to 5, and you build all the really cool buildings in the capital. The other settlements in the province tend to be limited to level 3, and so you don't get the high tech constructions in all of those. However, here we have Carrick Ungar with the gold mine. Leveling up the main settlement structure in Carrick Ungar gets us more gold mine. Which is, it's only 175 gold per turn. But it is 175 gold per turn.
Yeah.
I kind of think I'm gonna pursue this first. And then here we have a goblin recruitment building, which will eventually give us access to night goblins, night goblin archers, which are a little bit more compelling to me because of the poison.
Okay.
the goblin big boss, who is extra good at assassinating people and also, interfering with armies and whatnot. Yeah. So I'm wondering if we want to keep this goblin camp. It's not a bad building to have in a minor settlement because it does only go up to level 3 no matter what. Or if we want to tear this down for infrastructure, use the space for something else. The question is sort of like, how many goblins do I think we're going to be recruiting? The poison archers are nice.
I mean, I'm gonna advocate for getting to see more kinds of things.
Yeah. All right.
So,
I'm going to demolish this building for the purpose of building infrastructure here to try to develop the region more quickly so that we can get more of our buildings out. In particular, the good recruitment buildings and the higher tech buildings, we really want to get Khazid Urkalaz built out so that we can see like the cool advanced troops and stuff.
yeah.
All right. We also, now that we have control of the whole province, have access to the province commandments. So we can command people to brag about the boss, which improves local recruitment capacity and lowers recruitment cost in the area. We can have people give it here, income from all buildings up, construction costs down, or have Camp Ruckus. I'm not even sure what this actually means, but it produces control and growth, and it lowers corruption. So we haven't really talked about corruption. As you can see down here, there are 7 kinds of corruption that a region can be can undergo, and the preferred corruption type for orcs is none. We would love it if our places were not magically corrupted. That's not our deal. However, remember that Azhag, because he is a necromancer himself, he makes his armies immune to vampiric corruption, so we're a little bit more flexible than most orc factions. I'm inclined to just like either income from all buildings or maybe control up. Our control's kind of in the toilet since we keep knocking stuff over. Over time, this will return to a more normal value, but also this gives plus 20 growth. You get those points of population in place. So that takes a turn to set up. And for the moment, we're all good, I think. Only 263. I can't. The number's not staying stable enough for me to get to the end of a sentence. A lot of death going on out there in the Warhammer fantasy world. Oh, in fact, we can see there's been some change in the control of our neighbors. Change that bodes ill for us. The Bearsonlings, I believe, were in control of Fort Jakova until last turn. The Bearsonlings are Norskins who... You're not going to be friends with a Norskin under almost any circumstances, but we have common enemies with the Norskins. We can trust that they will not necessarily be looking to our mountain holds. Fort Jakova is now in the hands of Kislev, and the Kislevites do not care for orcs, let me tell you. Alright, so we issued our commandment. We got ourselves a Sword of Battle, which is one of the best kinds of swords. And also, as far as objects go, one of the best things of battle. Our next mission, well, hey, how about 2 provinces? Yep, that faction I was talking about yesterday, in the last episode, has in fact been properly destroyed. We also have a mission issued to get an income of at least 3,000 gold going. We'll see. We're trying. We're working on it. They really do, they deluge you with these, tiny mechanical missions at the beginning to try to, give you some idea of what to focus on. I don't know how I feel about this way of guiding the player's hand. What do you think?
I think in a game, I think it can be a useful tool especially for games that are very complex.
Uh-huh.
I kind of appreciated it. The little bit I played of Endless Legend, I appreciated having that. Because otherwise I'd feel kind of aimless. I don't know if it's as necessary here because it feels here more. The point is just go beat up those people and take their stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I don't need you to tell me. I don't need you to guide me in that. There are people next to me. I'm gonna go beat them up and take their stuff.
I mean, but if you don't get your economy stuff going, you will not be able to do
Yeah.
so. So we freed up that spot in Karak. I definitely want to build either an additional growth building or a money building. And given where we've ended up here money-wise, I am more and more leaning toward pile of shiny stuff. We're going to need money for the construction of the buildings, so let's do that. Okay, so as we are thinking about our next thing, we need to expand out, grab another province, and basically keep doing so until we have won the game. If we look at our objectives list, we need to end up in control of, either through direct ownership or through vassals and military allies, realistically, probably through direct ownership, Ostermark out here. That is the settlements of Nagenhof, Essen, which currently appears to be just a burned down ruin, Mordheim, and Beckhaven, which are, I believe, out here.
Essen is just the name of a city,
Yes.
like a real human city on our Earth.
Yeah, well, it's also just like a German, it's just like a German word, right?
Yeah, but it's a weird. I don't know. That one's weird.
It's the Holy Roman Amabel. Focus on things that matter here, which is me and my opinions. The River Urskoy region, which unfortunately means Kislev. You know, the capital of the nation of Kislev. This is going to be a non-trivial, long-term concern.
And they don't like us.
Well, let's have a look here, shall we? So technically there are a bunch of different factions inside Kislev. That faction is known as the Ice Court, led by Tsarina Katerin. They are strength rank 103 to our strength rank 224. Indeed, the bar is fairly red, pretty red. And their current opinion of us is -40 due to aversion. This is the resting point for our relationship. -40. Now, the good news is they probably also have, or they're likely to develop a lot of enemies. Right now, they're just fighting the Bearsonlings and winning, as we've seen. They have some kind of trade going on with this Dwarven faction. Over time, you will learn that the shapes, sort of like shape and decoration of the faction icon, tells you what like over faction they're a part of. Like, this is a Norskin icon, this is a Dwarven icon, that's a Kislevite icon, this is a Greenskin icon.
Okay.
Ogre Kingdoms have the little tusks. Empire stuff, it has this, like, shield shape. Yeah, so all that's a place that we need to get in control of eventually. We also this turn met the massive vampire nation of Sylvania, currently strength rank 19, led by Vlad von Karstein. He's a problem. Maybe not for us, though. We also need to get into control of Ostland, considerably to the west, and Peak Pass, which, hey, look at that. Peak Pass isn't all that far away. Gnashrak, it's just Gnashrak's Lair and Karak Kadrin. So we could devote our attention southward and just try to, like, shore up the mountains here. Now, this means going to war with some dwarves.
Turks, talk fast, for you are my enemy.
Now, obviously, dwarves don't care for us, generally speaking, for a lot of reasons. And Karak Kadrin is currently strength rank 3, the third most powerful faction on the map.
You can take them.
They're at war with the Red Eye. This is another greenskin faction that are based somewhere down here. So we can maybe backstab them. It says here they have 3 total settlements, and we can see what 2 of them are. I definitely worry that calling Ungrim Iron Fist's attention to us this early in the game is maybe dangerous. Maybe we should strike out to Essen, see if it's actually empty, and if it is, see what we can do about that.
Go and take all their board games. That's a fun joke about.
I mean, it's something. I love you. I might actually spend another turn just kind of sitting here because, like, we need the healing. Our healing is bad. Do I want to recruit another unit? Oh, we're like dead broke. We're good. I'm good. We're gonna take a turn sitting here, and I think I might strike out west. This territory is a little bit. It's harder to defend. Obviously, just like these open plains with lots of neighbors are a little scary, but it's a lot less defended. It's harder to defend for them too, basically. So let's just roll over here and see what's what. While we wait for our money to accumulate. See factions dropping like flies. Like I said, that ogre faction that we just took all the settlements of, theoretically they still have an army somewhere. I have no idea where, but there was still red in the relationship meter. So, who are you, Katon Fafbach? Who are you? Just a bunch of vampires running up the pass.
Well, we can't with that. That can.
Can I help you? The Lamian Sisterhood.
Ah, you come here in desperation, yes? Good. I can deal with desperate mortals.
Okay, I think you're misunderstanding which one of us is in desperation. Corruptor, Subjugator. They have these tags that kind of give you some sense of how they're going to behave a little bit. But basically, this guy is... Okay, this guy's neutral with us. He's having other problems. He owns a gemstone mine. Amabel.
Yeah.
I wonder if perhaps we might change our focus a bit. Silver Pinnacle is part of a large province that extends out into the blasted wastes over here. Not necessarily our ideal territory, but the Pinnacle itself, gemstone mine just as good as a gold mine. How many provinces do you hold, sir?
Greenskin, you are stood before me alive.
Our settlements? It's just one. It's just that.
Taste of your fell blood, so speak.
You want to go capture a gemstone mine?
Okay.
We'll have to take down a proper castle to do it, but I think an extra precious materials mine might be just the thing this army needs. So I'm going to put us in March mode here. You can see as I mouse over underway stance, we don't have quite enough movement to get past this big central mountain. You can see where our movement ends over here. So it's going to put us in March mode, get us close to the mountains, and then we'll use the underway to hop next turn.
Okay.
And because we're moving, because we're not yet done healing, but because we're moving through our territory, we're going to continue to replenish this whole time.
All right.
So I feel more comfortable crossing our own territory before we're quite ready. And it looks to me like this faction is in pretty bad shape. Like, this army is running from something. Now, it's possible by taking over their castle, we're also going to inherit all of their enemies. But gemstones.
Yeah.
Plus, the addition of the gemstone mine will give us, I think, a little bit better position. We'll have the two large settlements right next to each other to sort of like help us reinforce in the war against Carrick Cadron, which is a thing that's going to happen. right? We got to take him out at some point. It's interesting. Okay, so he's come out of march stance, but he didn't move. He's just parked in our territory, and he's taking attrition damage constantly. So let's talk for a second about corruption after we resolve this event. Your warriors range deep into hostile lands. That's not correct, but all is not well. There are dark omens abroad, as if the shadow of some horned god was watching from the evil moon above. The army is fettered by Morslib's glare. So Morslib is the name of the moon, one of the moons. We can risk Morslib's wrath by doing nothing. The dark moon could be seen by anyone looking to the night sky. Who says it's an omen aimed at us, right? It could be somebody else's bad omen. Or we can spend some resources, doing some rituals and whatnot, and inspire our warriors. +5 leadership for everybody for 3 turns. This is superstition. I'm going to risk Morslib's wrath. That's a lot of money, and the leadership buff is really not that significant. The Bearslings have been properly wiped out, so things are going badly over in Kislev. The Red Eye, Karak Kadrin's only enemy, also wiped out. Not great news for us. The Templehof vampire faction has been properly obliterated. Yeah, somebody moved into Essen, which I think is their starting location. And hey, Masha's back. Remember Masha?
Yeah.
All right, and we finished our fancy technology. Oh no! Morslip, the dreaded moon of ill omens, hangs mournfully large in the sky. Its sickly green glow spreads across your realm. -20 growth, -3 control for 4 turns. Damn it. Stupid cursed moon. What? Why are you laughing?
But at least you have 1,500 gold.
Well, the 1,500 gold wouldn't have helped with that. The 1,500 gold was for getting the army to stop being so superstitious. Our settlements are their own problem. All right, so we're going to take the tunneling stance through the underway. We're going to jump. I want to stay on our side of the line, but it looks like our territory line extends all the way down to here. So we'll just pop. Look at him. What a cutie. So, Kadon Faftbach came out of March mode, but then didn't move his army at all. So I mentioned that every faction has a preferred type of corruption, or at least implied it. If you are standing in an area that has a different corruption type than your preferred kind, you suffer some amount of attrition. Constantly, basically. Your armies need to be in the kinds of lands they can survive in. So the undead in a non-vampirically corrupted area will slowly sort of just disintegrate and fall apart. They need the necromantic magic to be like suffusing the land to keep, nudging them back together. You can see the amount of red in their health bars is how much damage they're going to take. It's not very much. They're not taking a ton of damage, but they are basically just like slowly bleeding out as long as they stay in these uncorrupted lands. I'm not too. That's fine by me. I'm fine with them just slowly dying here, but it does again raise the question of why they didn't move. All right, so we got our bonus movement speed, and I am a big fan of that. From here, we could grab some extra growth. Just everybody go bigger. We can, like I was saying earlier, last time, pick up goblin or orc combat bonuses. If we go down this middle line, diplomatic relations up with the other greenskin tribes. You gotta love Gork and Mork. Or else. War bossing, no complaining, no infighting. And eventually bigger and better bosses lets us recruit all units at higher rank and new lords at much higher rank. Honestly, I don't hate heading in that direction, but I do wonder, as we're beginning to fight these dwarves, if we're going to wish we had upgrades on our our units. Let's maybe start buffing up. We're using a lot of orcs, right? Let's maybe start buffing up the orcs. So this is melee attack up for just the most basic orc troops. But we have a fair number of boys in our units, or a fair number of boys in our army. And what do we want to do with Masha? I'd like to get Masha's level up, so I'd like to be using Masha to interfere with enemies. The question is just which enemies. You know what? Let's go poke around the dwarf lands.
Okay.
And we're gonna do that not via this long path here, but we're gonna head out onto the flatland and then come around. You can see it's a pretty short short path that is available here, and this will have the upside of giving us a little bit of insight into what's going on with the vampires, in particularly, like I said, that very powerful Sylvania faction. So they've managed to expand as far north as Waldenhof. Their capital is like right down here, I believe. The capital of Sylvania. So like all of this stuff is probably theirs, and they're probably expanding quickly. They're tough. Their faction leader is a very difficult fight. All right, what would it cost? We've gained the ability to upgrade our gold mine, but we're going to need a little bit more money to make it happen. In the interim here, we could just build ourselves another money-making building. We're going to need a lot of money. I think, well, let's go ahead and get that on. We'll just try to generate as much income here as we can. And any underway movement consumes your army's whole movement bar for the turn. Finding a way down into the underway, then back up onto the surface, I guess, is time consuming. So we've done our allowed movement. We now have a zone of control between Cadon Pfaffbach and the Silver Pinnacle. So at this point, I don't think he can escape, if I'm remembering the mechanics correctly. So we're not formally at war, but I think you can't move through the zone of control of armies that you're not at least allied with. I think. We're gonna find out together. Looks like they're mustering up in Nagenhof. So this is for sure Sylvania's like secondary backup army, because their main army is going to be led by the legendary lord, who is the boss of their faction, right?
Okay.
That's maybe a good way to sort of delineate factions on the map. Is some factions are okay because we're not explicitly threatening each other. He's allowed to move through my zone. Wow, okay. That's a lot of flags. Yes, some factions are major factions. Those are basically like the ones that we could choose to play as, and they'll be led by a legendary lord, who's a big, powerful combat unit. And then there are other minor factions on the map who don't have a legendary lord, and they have all the, kind of the same rules, but like not having a legendary lord makes them a lot less powerful because legendary lords are terrifying in combat. So this here is a minor faction, but unfortunately they've really massed up. This was their secondary army. They brought their primary army back home, and they even have started a third army, although it only has one unit in it. So that does complicate things a little bit. It's going to be harder to get a hold of the Silver Pinnacle than I was hoping. How are these guys doing?
You're not welcome, so I won't pretend otherwise. Now spit out your proposal.
So they have 4 settlements right now. Presumably whatever the Red Eye had, they have taken over. They've risen, they're strength rank 12, so they're probably tougher than they were before, and our army is now in kind of an awkward position, looking for some trouble to make. I was really hoping to pick off like Fuffback up in our lands with our garrison in reinforcement range was an easy kill. In his own lands with, you know, his castle garrison and another full stack in reinforcement range, I am not thinking that we are in position to kill those guys. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to do here. Let me take Masha down to Dwarf Town. Try to get a sense of where the dwarf armies are at. Oh, interesting. So Drycha here is a twisted forest spirit of some kind. The Wargrove of Woe is on the march. And what are their politics right now? Basically, they hate Ostermark. So that bodes pretty ill for Ostermark. Because that's a big unfriendly army right on top of their desperately reinforcing army and one of their settlements. We might see Ostermark fall pretty quickly here. This will be inconvenient though if the Wargrove of Woe takes over and tries to hold Nagenhof. That'll be a little problematic for us because I don't want to fight them for it. I need it, but I don't want to have to fight them. Well, all right. I'll tell you one thing we could do.
You don't want to fight anybody, it feels like.
I want to fight where I can win. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go into raiding mode, and I'm just going to park us right on the other side of the line between us and Carrot Cadron.
Okay.
My axe thirsts for war.
Okay, here's a great big dwarf army. I'm just gonna steal stuff from the dwarves, depress their income, raise our own income, and they already hate us. I don't feel like I'm really like ruining a relationship here or anything. Let's just see what they do about this and see if we can draw them into a conflict in more territory that's a little bit more on our side. Because trying to, like, running over to fight them in the middle of their dwarf holds is I would call it a bad strategy in the long term.
All right. While the computer is taking their turns, I have to obtain a mild onion.
Okay.
I have to take a leak.
Okay. You could just... why even say the euphemism? If you're that... People... work with professionals is all. The only advice I can give you. You know, Amabel's a professional something. She's more professional than I am. So anyway, we're in a little bit of a tricky spot here. Like, trying to figure out how to... yep, the Wargrove of Woe did take Nagenhof. Trying to figure out how to expand in a way that's profitable and doesn't also put us into a fight that's going to get us killed. It can be a little challenging. It's something you run into at the beginning of some of these Warhammer campaigns. We could sit around and just like accumulate gold, right? That's the thing we totally could do for a bit. But at some point, we're going to need to crack into another province. So we got our melee attack and leadership bonus for our orc boys. Mission issued, recruit 30 new units. So that's, you know, that's put together a whole new army. We have heavy metal, which is armor and weapon strength up for all orc infantry units versus moving forward into better wagons, which is like an okay buff for the wagon units. The main thing about the wagon units is that you would... the main thing about this is not the buffs to the wagon units, but rather movement to the right. Right, because eventually we'd love to get to Oglock the Horrible. I know a guy. He's pretty horrible. To lead a second army, which would be a good way to approach that. Plus, you know, once we get access to boar cavalry, I do like the boar cavalry a lot. You get some fatta pigs with the pointy tusks. This is like a very significant buff, though, I think. You know, across all of your orc infantry units for the entirety of the game. Yeah, let's grab heavy metal before we move on.
Now, do you feel like orcs are? Is heavy metal like orc music? Do you feel like?
Oh, for sure.
Now, which faction is like speed metal?
That's probably a little bit more of a goblin thing.
How about new metal?
Dark elves, for sure. No question. I'm worried that because the Silver Pinnacle, like they were in a bad position there, they were in a position where somebody might have looked at them and thought, oh, hey, let's go pluck that castle. They're going to now just like ball up and stay inside. And that's very annoying for us because I wanted to pluck that castle.
Yeah.
So we don't quite have the money. I don't know. We do. Yeah, this is only 2,000. Okay, yeah. Definitely get that gold mine going. We're going to just keep increasing our income. We could go and take Gnashrak's Lair. It's relatively undefended. It's only got a 7-unit garrison. This would be a very, very easy conquer. The downside of this is that if we take Gnashrak's Lair, Vrangni Burloxson is in position to not get to us in a single turn, but in position to do like an underway move to block us in. But I guess it does look like there aren't any other armies around here. Maybe the thing to do is to just like start the war, start the disruption.
Yeah.
I doubt I'd be able to hold Gnashrak's Lair, but we could burn it the fuck to the ground. Just sort of weaken their position. All right, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get aggressive.
Yeah.
Hold on. Do they have any enemies?
Urks, talk fast. For
Not
you are my
right
enemy.
now. Out of curiosity, Sylvania's probably got a critical eye on them.
Courtesy is a sure sign of good breeding. Welcome.
Sure, yeah. They love that we are raiding and trespassing against Carrot Cadron. That's a good sign for our relationship in the long term. Here's the deal. No, I don't want to. Sorry, I don't want to declare war on you. I want to. How do you do this? There's a way to get people. Like, what if we did a non-aggression pact? I think I can only do it if I offer to join in one of their wars. Like, hey, what if I were? Okay, if I were to join your war against Ostermark, who it seems like is on the way out, and probably I don't need to actually be afraid of. Can we be pals? Okay. Non-aggression pact is not pals necessarily, but every positive treaty you have with a ruler, you can see raises up their opinion of you. We are now getting 11 positive opinion from treaties with Sylvania, so that'll raise our sort of relationship resting point to a place where it's easy to get further treaties, and so on.
Okay.
And you can see here, like, the amount of opinion we would need to acquire for us to be able to just, like, ask for and receive military access or a defensive alliance. I was hoping we could get them to pay us to go to war with Carrot Cadron, but I think we can only do that if they are formally at war with Carrot Cadron. But I think they're going to enjoy us being at war with Carrot Cadron anyway, though. It seems like they
love that shit.
Seems like they
You're
hate
not welcome,
Dwarf.
so I won't pretend otherwise.
All right.
Now spit out your proposal.
I got a great idea. How about I go to war with one of the most powerful players on the map, and this destroys my society. How about that? How about some of that? A decisive victory. We're just going to take the quick win here. Wow, maybe I should have done that manually. Holy crow, that's a lot of damage. And so the question is, are we sacking it or are we raising it? Again, our faction is unusually good at sacking. This is a lot of money.
Yeah.
However, we don't have a huge number of things to spend all the money on. A lot of our buildings are sort of like capped already because of our low overall growth level. And burning the building down, or burning the place down, does, I think, damage them economically more.
Okay.
The other thing is sacking a place doesn't spend the rest of your army's movement, whereas occupying and raising do. I think I'm going to go for the raise, because I think I want to crush this and then I want to leave. I don't want to be spending a lot of time in their territory. So we gained a backstabber, bonus post-battle chance of stealing magic items from the enemy, which we earned by ranking up after winning 4 or more offensive battles and starting a war.
What you want?
Azhag is developing quickly. Let's go ahead and take... Do we want income from raiding up or income from looting settlements up? You know, let's lean into the sacking thing. We'll sack some stuff, probably. This was, I think, an important moment to strike. And then, Masha, can you reduce the research time of their technologies? So there is a 45% chance of whiffing this. Only a 9% chance that our hero will become wounded due to his own incompetence.
Smash!
Yes.
But it sure did happen. Masha, you are fucking useless. How did he critically fail his first 2 rolls? The thing is, I didn't actually look at the odds on that first roll, but the first roll odds should have been considerably better than that, because this is a rank 3 faction capital, and that other settlement was just like a rank 1 settlement in the fucking mud.
Now, to be clear, I don't give you much direction because I'm watching, I'm learning, I'm the student. But you are obligated every time Masha's able to do anything to try it to see how often he fails. It's very funny.
Okay, so we've encountered the northern provinces of Cathay, because we saw one of their trade caravans. They don't like us. All right, never mind. You can see one of their trade caravans, is right here, is running. I don't know where they're going. They got a bunch of supplies. I don't know what to make of that. Unless they come considerably further west into our territory, they're not really a thing we need to be thinking about. All right, so we've annoyed Carrick Cadron. Let's see what comes of this. Have we ended our game? Like I was telling the viewers, when you got up in the middle of the recording to go somewhere else, you can get into this a tricky position early in some campaigns where it's like, I secured my initial grounds, and now it's like, how do I expand without drawing so much attention to myself that I get annihilated by a superior force, you know?
Right.
Vrangni Berluxen is on the move and encamping to muster, presumably. We're going to want to back off and heal up the damage that we took there. Now, unfortunately, orcs do not have access, it seems, to the ambush stance, or at least Azhag himself does not believe in ambushes. Too sneaky, perhaps. So we're not going to be able to try any trickery where we like lure Vrangni into the pass and then jump him or anything. And if we have to fight face to face with dwarves, we're going to do it healthier than we are now. Okay, the rock skulls have formally been destroyed. The Ice Court declared war on them. My guess is that wherever their like crappy extra army was, it got too close to Kislev, and Kislev stomped on it. Mission issued. Carry out a successful assassination, wound, or kill of a character belonging to any of the following enemies of the Drippin' Fangs for a bunch of relationship with the Drippin' Fangs. This is like a lot of stuff that we're not interested in.
It does make sense with having like almost 300 factions starting on the map that early game you're going to be pretty vulnerable. So it does make sense that, yeah, you could lose quickly.
Oh no, okay. We do now have ambush mode. We didn't have ambush available as a stance earlier, did we? I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna haul ass to the county line here. Get back inside
Also, I
our
was
territory
not
where we have some
gone
supplies.
from the computer that long.
I didn't say you were gone for a long time. Misrepresent me. All right. We get a sense. So when you click on an army, you can see what their movement range on their next turn will be, but unfortunately, you can only see their movement range in their current stance.
Okay.
They will be able to move faster if they switch out into normal stance. I don't think they're going to catch us, but I'm going to go ahead and take the full move as far back as we can here. If your army gets caught in march mode, you don't get to retreat. You got to do it. So I want to make sure that we're clear of them. And keep in mind, this is definitely not their main army because it's not led by their legendary lord. So they have another full stack at least somewhere. So I'm trying to be cautious with that in mind. Hey, check out the Silver Pinnacle. A bunch of the vampires left. I'm not trying to start another war, but if we have the opportunity to claim the Silver Pinnacle without a war, just a single turn of brutality, then I probably will do so.
Yeah.
Okay, Vrangni Burloxton went and resettled Gnashrak's lair. So, it takes a lot of people to start a settlement back up. He's going to have expended a lot of the like strength of his army doing that. A lot of his dwarves will have left to become residents of the new place. So this would be a good time to attack them. I moved back far enough to not be able to do that because I was trying to make sure we were safe from pursuit.
Yeah.
But let's see if we can see. This would be a lot easier if we had Masha. Upgrade any settlement building. You know, I'll try. Shut up.
I will not disgrace my
Win 10 battles with any single hero character. Okay, stop popping things up at me. So yeah, we can't see shit because we have no scouts because Masha is completely useless. So unfortunately, we don't have a sense of how weakened that army is or how quickly they will recover.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the population surplus necessary to go for the encampment upgrade here, and also we're pretty close to the gold, so I think I'm not going to spend anything this turn. Or like, what is the cost of? Yeah, that upgrade is too expensive. Obviously, the other thing we could do is upgrade Carrick Ungor the rest of the way and get our gold mine maxed out, but I think I'm going to prioritize. Yeah, I think I want to prioritize upgrading the major settlement, in part because it is now the front line of a war. It's possible that there will be combat at this major settlement, so let's just see. So we're going to take one turn for Ozhag to just heal. Inside the garrison, it looks like we'll recover all of the losses in a single turn. As we pull from our population here. And then we can pursue the big settlement building upgrade and also push out and see if we can maybe capture some dwarves or the Silver Pinnacle Castle or something. Obviously, like, it's pretty dangerous to decide to go for that castle while there's a dwarf army potentially knocking on our doorstep. Right? That's what people knock on the doorstep.
I mean, sometimes. The door's probably better than the doorstep.
But but gosh, I sure do want that gemstone mine. Another thing I'm worried about is that somebody who is more powerful is going to take the Silver Pinnacle before we get to it. And then it's going to be harder for us to take in the future. Okay, the Dripping Fangs have been obliterated, so that quest that we got from them, probably not too important now. Azhag has spent multiple turns in a settlement with low control, and so has become more of a disciplinarian. Raise or sack Carrick Cadron for some money. You know, I would love to smash the stunties. This stunting arrow needs smashing. Take any shiny stuff and then burn it. We also have a mission to research technologies. Again, just like hurling stuff at us desperately. I swear I will do stuff. Just let me play the game a little bit.
I think if they it feels like the 4X genre and this thing which is adjacent to it
Has some shared concerns, certainly.
they love pop-ups.
Boy, do they. Yeah.
And I don't understand it. They seem to just piss you off and get in your way.
Yeah, what if it was really annoying to be playing the game is a thing that they all seem to think is like cool, and I just don't understand it.
I mean, I think that's cool, but I do it with, it's cool when I do it.
My bloodline calls.
So Aldous von Drack has managed to muster up to 13 units. There's 14 units in the garrison of the Silver Pinnacle as well. So it's not an easy take necessarily. I think what I'm going to do here is march Azhag forward less than we're allowed to, but somewhat. I'm going to move forward to like maybe the corner here, the T junction.
Okay.
Okay, hey, look at that. That's Ungrim Ironfist. There's the legendary lord. He's level 11. He's got a real army going on over here. And we're going to go into ambush mode. So it consumes movement points to enter ambush mode. You have to have some movement left.
Okay.
And different kinds of terrain have different like ambush functionality. You can see here the base ambush success chance of this terrain is 50%. I'm going to put us in ambush mode. This does two things. First of all, it makes us it removes our map, our army from the map. Nobody can see us anymore. When somebody's army or agent gets within vision range of our army, they will roll a chance to pierce the ambush stance, basically a chance to detect. And if they detect us, then we will become visible standing here in ambush stance. If they fail to detect us and they move into our zone of control while we're still unseen to them, then it will roll the ambush chance. And if we fail the roll, we'll have the option of engaging like a normal battle with them. If we succeed on the roll, we'll have the option of engaging an ambush battle where their army is sort of like stretched out in a column, for movement. And we get to deploy anywhere around them on the map up to quite a close distance, and basically just get to hit them from whatever angle and distance we want.
That's amazing.
That
I
would give
love
us
That's so cool.
would give us a chance of, I think, taking on Ungrim Ironfist's superior force here. And I've kept us in a place where if, say, Aldous von Drack walks away from the castle, maybe we just go steal the castle. These are the strategic concerns of me moving to this place and pressing this button.
That's rad. I like that a lot. I like that just modeling, just like an ambush and how it's you're ambushing a marching column and like they're exposed and like
Catching armies in an ambush, the value of it varies highly by army.
Right.
Dwarves are tough. And so catching them off guard and like getting all up in their archers or whatever, it's a lot less of an obvious slam dunk than like catching a human or elf army on the move, where you can just sink your teeth into some archers and gunners who have no melee weapons or training. And orcs generally are an army that prefers to be up close And so pulling off an ambush is particularly good for us, but we're not very good at them. Other factions have more stuff that sort of specializes them in getting away with the ambush, actually pulling it off. All right, we got our heavy metal. Oh no! Exploring too deep into an ancient cave system, a forager unwittingly brings back with them a hitherto unknown and devastating disease, one which now spreads like wildfire through the populace. Beware the coughing, spurn the sneezing, run screaming from the feverish. A plague among us. Okay, so +5 Nurgle corruption for 5 turns. This is not a big deal, but we're going to see this corruption value climb. Right now, actually, we have enough negative corruption to overwhelm the 5 per turn. Because we have... Presumably we have a building or something that's doing it. I'm not sure where we're getting all that negative corruption from, but it looks like we're just going to hold it down entirely. It's not going to be a problem.
That's not from your command that you made, is it? Your province command?
Well, there is 3 points from this, but no, there's we also have 4 points from buildings, which I'm not sure which buildings are providing that. It was -2 and -1. And okay, it's just the main settlement structures are providing a certain amount of like cleanup, and then we also are taking -2 corruption from the surrounding territory. Basically, like the state of each region, the state of each province's corruption sort of bleeds into its neighbors. So over time, you know, a bunch of regions together will convert their neighbors to their type.
Okay.
So all Ungram Ironfist did was get into Gnashrak's lair and hole up there. And at this point, he doesn't have the movement left to actually attack us. You can see his movement range ends right there. So, not really sure what to do with that. It's going to be 3 turns until Khazad Urkalas is actually upgraded, at which point we can start upgrading for better units, including the dreaded Black Orcs, so called for their suits of heavy black armor. You can see these guys have 120 armor and weapons that are heavily armor piercing. Much better against fighting dwarves than a lot of our basic troops, because dwarves tend to be extremely heavily armored. Even a lot of their most basic troops are really extremely heavily armored. So that would help a lot. If we get this leveled up, that would help a lot. I certainly don't want to sit here on my hands for like 6 turns or whatever, but I also don't know how much of a choice we have. We're going to start researching some other stuff here. Okay, hold on. So we have enough scrap accumulated now that we can start researching the ability to put together some scrap upgrades. Although it looks like most of our units are not covered by... This is very goblin-focused skill. This is for the various archers. Critter crafting. Bonuses for the critters. Is Spoils of War. This is the basic... Yeah, this is the orc scrap upgrade technology. So we still need more scrap for that, unfortunately. Yeah, that's okay. We're working on it. We're at 127. We've been accumulating. So I think, unfortunately, for this turn, I kind of don't want to do anything except keep pushing the technology.
Okay.
At some point, Masha's going to respawn, and we can maybe then try to pull some shenanigans, although I'm sure Masha's just going to get himself splattered again real quick. The thing is, like, I don't even need him to succeed on his actions. You get a fair amount of experience from trying and failing at hero tasks. I just need him to not wound himself off the map so that he can start to gain some XP, you know?
Yeah, but it'd be funnier if he kept wounding himself.
I
Think about
don't.
the entertainment value of this product for your audience and for me.
Watching me spiral out and die. I guess I don't know. You know, I was gonna say that's probably not actually all that fun, but maybe that's exactly what people are here for. And now that we've declared the war, I'm very worried about like taking Gnashrak back to the west and trying to push out onto the plain. Because like, what if the dwarves do come knocking? Right?
Yeah,
I got myself in a little bit of a situation here, Amabel.
you do.
Historically, how would a general resolve make comparison between this and the historical similarity or the historical position it's most similar to? Hey, look, it's Masha.
I mean,
Use me! Find the special things!
you definitely need to be a bit more aggressive, I think, but you gotta pick your battles carefully, and sometimes they're gonna be
Do you take me for a wazzock?
a bad situation, especially as an attacker, because I feel like this is a very attacker-focused thing. Like, if you look at Clausewitz, for example.
Okay, this sounds like a real thing.
I have seen thine wake of destruction. Most impressive.
Clausewitz talks about defense being one of the most. There's been a while since I read Clausewitz, so I could be getting this a little wrong, but that being on the defense is generally more preferable because you can wait out the enemy and whatnot. That's not really a thing that is really a concern here, though. Here, you're just trying to take stuff, and you're so I think you need to get in there. You need to start attacking, even if they're a little more. If you have some good tactics, they wouldn't expect you to attack them when they have a big army. Oh, you came out of your ambush stance.
Yeah, that means that somebody saw through the ambush. We were forced out of ambush stance by detection. But I don't know who it would have been. I believe we'll get a notification. It doesn't look like anybody came near us at all, though, so not really sure. So we're in a pretty scary situation now, where Karak Kadron has 2 full armies, either of which is potentially a match for ours. Okay, some faction was destroyed. Ostermark was destroyed. That's a little more relevant to our concerns. Azhag was detected. It just says detected. It doesn't say. Okay, well, that's not very good. Recruit an additional lord. Oh, I'm thinking about it. So they have 2 armies, right? One at sort of each, one with access to each side of our territory. And if they were to just push forward together, it would be a very concerning time. But like, a lot's going to come down to the battle, right? When Azhag goes up against somebody, if I lose that battle, we're out of the game. If I win that battle, then there's a sort of a pitched game of back and forth to be had with the other army, and who knows what comes from that. But like the coming battle is very high stakes, and unfortunately, because they have armies at both sides of our territory, they kind of get to determine when and where it's going to happen.
So I definitely feel like it's imperative on you to knock out one of these armies. And I know they're both like a match for you.
We have the ability to recruit another lord, but I want to be clear that this is not really an option for us. Just recruiting a lord by himself would increase our total army upkeep by 117. And then we'd have to actually fill his army. Azhag's army is costing us 3,000 gold per turn nearly, and we only have 1,200 income. We cannot run a second force.
Yeah.
And I am working on upgrading our income, but we're not going to get close to run a second force money from a single province. We need to expand, and for that to happen, we need opportunity, and we cannot engineer that opportunity. Something exterior has to happen. How far can Ungrim move? Ugh. Ungrim has a huge amount of movement speed and can get across the border in a single move from Gnashrak's Lair, even having to go around this mountain bit. So we can't have Azhag stand in like a raiding position to draw him out without it being the beginning of the battle. And even if I did do that, like, he could just bring Vragni over here and wait a turn and put us in a position where they could potentially hit us with both armies, forcing me to back up. And I really need, I need something to happen to somebody. Somebody's got to attack Karak Kadron from another side, or the hole's got to open up over here, or we're not in a position to make things happen right now. And to be clear, we are advancing. Like, if everything holds steady, we are probably gaining more than the factions around us are gaining from us, from the position being what it is. So it's not horrible for us that we're just sitting here, but it definitely feels bad.
It's certainly giving them more time to kind of...
And they're not doing anything with it, though. They're just sitting there on the number of troops that they can sustain. Like, these armies aren't improving in any way. You know, they're not mustering.
Yeah.
They're not... They might be, you know, doing the same internal processes that we're doing over here, but that would be true anyway. Unfortunately, like I said, we just kind of have to wait for something to happen. Okay. So our ambush broke. Ungrim Iron Fist moves into the pass, but not as far as he's allowed to. And then the other army goes into tunneling stance. We saw them stance change, but they just disappeared. Hold on. When we get our camera back, we'll look around. I wonder if they went south, because I don't see them on the map. I don't see the little red flag. So I wonder if their army went south. I wonder if what happened is that they got threatened from another angle. If so, that would be pretty rad.
Yeah.
Okay. Saw through our ambush again. Finished our attack. Mission successful to upgrade a building. Yep, it sure is. I did do that. Arcane fulcrums are terrible, complex, and eldritch monoliths whose nature and function have puzzled the finest minds for millennia. Should a magic user stand at the pinnacle of the one found here, then his powers will be greatly enhanced. So we have a +10 per turn wins a magic bonus in Khazid-ur-Khulaz. Okay. Got some new armor that I think I won't equip. Right, because I like the Helm of Discord quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
All right, so indeed, that other dwarf army is just gone. We do not see them. They're tunneling, so they can't be stealthed. That is a non-stealthy stance. So they must have moved south. Which means Ungrim Iron Fist out here in the open is like as available as he's likely to get. He did go into encampment stance, so his whole army is +5 leadership, +5 melee defense. They're prepared for combat. They outnumber us, and their troops are probably better than our troops on a 1-to-1 basis.
Yeah.
Not ideal. Costs 6,000 to upgrade to a Black Orc barracks, so we could wait. Masha, can you get any sense of what's going on down here? Don't like this. I need more information.
Now, are you
We're
able
going
to
to continue with the plan here. Pointy Tusks. Again, we're mostly just moving toward bigger and better bosses, which is a thing we're going to have to, you know, unlock a lot of prerequisites for. But it is the prerequisite for the rest of the tree. What are you saying?
Now, are you able to tunnel under them, or do they stop you from doing that?
You can tunnel past. So any army that you can tunnel past an army.
Okay.
If you do so, there is a chance of being intercepted. Nearby hostile armies may intercept this army in the underway. Should the army be intercepted, retreat will be impossible, and a loss in the battle will kill everything in the army.
Okay. Well, that's not.
It's dangerous, and they would certainly be able to do it. Now, we did spend several skill points on a skill giving us a extra evasion chance when tunneling, but I don't see what the value of tunneling past them would be in any case.
Well, I'm just wondering if it was a. I'm trying to get a sense of what your tools are,
Yeah,
not necessarily advocating for using them in a particular way.
yeah.
I mean, either you wait for him to attack you or you attack him, right?
Yeah, if we can lure him into an ambush, it helps a lot. Do we have? We still don't really have a great sense of his army. He's got some quarrelers with great weapons. So these are crossbow troops, but they have two-handed axes as well. So less good at melee combat than a normal dwarf unit, but they're a ranged unit. He's got these Slayer pirates, which are they're slayers. Slayers are dwarves who have taken basically they've shamed themselves in some way, and so they have taken the Slayer's Oath as recompense. And the Slayer's Oath is basically I will devote my life heretofore to annihilating our enemies, and that's it for me. And so the Slayers don't get to wear armor. They just have to go out into the world and fight increasingly more badass foes of the dwarven race until they are eventually killed in combat. So you can see these guys have 0 armor. Actually, surprisingly good melee defense. It's not like they're not allowed to defend themselves. It's just they're not allowed to wear armor. But obviously these guys are a little bit easier to kill than a lot of dwarves. Yeah, they have some guns. And they have a couple of advanced troops because every legendary lord gets to start with some advanced troops, right? That's why we got to start with catapults. But it's hard to know exactly what the rest of this makeup of this army could be very unimpressive. We just are very short on information. I kind of think what I want to do here is just sink back into ambush mode.
Okay.
Just try to remount the ambush. I know it hasn't been working. If they run up and attack us, if they see through it, run up and attack us, we will have the option to fall back. We will fall back to within reinforcement range of Khazad-Urkhalaz, and so they'll have if they want to attack us, they'll have a vastly superior foe to fight. But there's a chance that we get the ambush. And I think that would put us in position to wipe out what might be a somewhat superior force. And if that happened, I think we'd be in good position to really push from there. So now we have an infrastructural decision that we have to make. Spending all of our money upgrading the greenskin burrows here would give us the ability to push 2 of our money-making buildings to level 3, versus saving money to get Black Orc barracks so that we can recruit some Black Orcs. Because we do desperately, we got to save at least some of the money. I'm gonna build another money-making building here, because I think we're extremely desperate for it. Yeah, it'll take 4 turns for this to pay itself off, but that's fine. We gotta get access to the kinds of troops that let us fight dwarves better. And I think with that, I'm going to call the episode there. We're at 81 reputation, trending upward. If this battle does happen, it's not going to be a short battle probably, so I don't want to tack it on to the end of an 80-minute episode. So let's call it there. That's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back the next time, hopefully Ungrim Ironfist is just going to run headlong into an ambush. If he doesn't, we're just going to keep working on how to crack open a dwarf like a nutcracker and access these sweet, sweet meats inside. And hopefully this is going to resolve bloodily one way or another. Amabel, what? What?
I just love the way you talk.
Orcs eat dwarves. It's a critical part of our culture. Anyway, come back next time for that, and we'll see you then.